when I come up with a name like Beyond the Wizard's Sleeve, it was sort of like I really liked like the word Beyond the, because it sounded like a very kind of 60s, like it sounded like a Carry On movie or something, you know, like where they would give those kind of really elaborate titles to films or books. And Wizard's Sleeve is just a really British joke, you know, which but there's a really no. Do you know what it means?
No. I don't.
I don't know if I tell people. Does anyone in the room know what a wizard sleeve is?
No.
The idea for the name, actually, it has a very deep kind of metaphor to it, and it is to return to the calmest place in the world, which is the womb. But then you need to work out what the wizard sleeve is. So it is kind of quite juvenile, I have to admit, but at the same time, you know, it's not, I think.
Yeah, well, I think we had a move of the season that I think Errol and Richard Norris, they wanted to do a remix for it. And, you know, the whole remix thing for us was a new territory. It's like we never really thought about it. And we didn't really think about the benefits of it as well. But it's, so they did a mix of that, and then we, you know, like we had a conversation. I think it was emails, really, to be honest. It wasn't face to face. And he said about doing the whole record as a, you know, reimagined version. But, you know, and it was on paper. I was a bit scared about it. I was like, okay, I don't know whether it's going to expose too many things on the record, you know, because it's very. There's a lot of first takes. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of bad editing on the record, you know, because I'm lazy with editing. It's like I won't fade stuff in and out. I just let it cut, you know. It's like, so I thought all those things are going to come out, and it's, you know, going to expose us as a, you know, like a really badly recorded album. But it did the opposite. When I listened to it, it was like they really understood what parts should be brought out.
Hello, vinyl community. It's been a few weeks since I last shot a video. Part of the reason is because my collection is really mostly boxed up, both CDs and vinyl, and I'll probably be boxed up for a little while longer, but I did manage to pull a few things out and play them. And for this recent Vinyl Spins, I just wanted to talk about one particular group and all their associated connections. So I'm going to be treeing off into other bands, but the band in question is Beyond the Wizard Sleeve. So how did I first encounter this band? Well, I first encountered this band through this compilation here. And I'm a big fan of the Late Night Tales series, and the first one I ever picked up just happened to be this one here, by the Flaming Lips. And there was one particular song that really grabbed my attention, and it was the reanimation of the song Roscoe by this band here, which is Midlake. And what is Midlake? Well, Midlake is a band from Texas, Denton, Texas. And they're in the vein of Fleet Foxes, so they're acoustic, they have a lot of polyharmonies, and if you like the Fleet Foxes, this is definitely going to be up your alley. Midlake, surprisingly, is not too popular in the United States. Whereas they are huge, or at least big in the UK as far as I can tell. But no one here really knows them. And this is just a really good album. This happens to be their sophomore album, which does feature the track Roscoe. So if you listen to this version of that song, Roscoe, it stands well unto itself. Nice acoustic track, very interesting lyrics. But Beyond the Wizard Sleeve, which is two guys, this just happens to be a 10-inch of that particular song. They took it and while it stays true to its roots in the reanimation, or what everyone knows as a remix, it is enhanced, I want to say. I like the remix version better, or the reanimation as they would say, because it's not, when you think remix, it's like, okay, it's going to be like a dance track. Well, this is not a dance track by any means. They use a lot of reverse tape loops. They use a lot of their own instrumentation, which they add in, and the resulting track is very reminiscent of Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. So you have those nice guitar solos and almost kind of a dreamy type quality to the singing and the music. So yeah, this version, I prefer this. So Beyond the Wizard Sleeves, they've done some music in their own right, but it is essentially two DJs / musicians that have a love of psych music, and they just happen to come together and collaborate, and they've done several what they've termed reanimations of songs, and so they came out with this CD. And unfortunately I have the CD boxed up right now, but this features reanimations of Franz Ferdinand, Goldfrapp, just to name a couple of the artists on there. And I can't recommend it enough. I can't say I like every song on there, but the stuff that they do that really is on there resonates with me. And Roscoe does happen to be on this particular album, so you can find the CD cheaply. It's never been released on vinyl, but if you can score it, I say definitely pick it up without any hesitation. Now, what caused me to spin this particular set of albums was the group Temples. So they came out with this album called Structures a year or two back, and this is just a wonderful psych album. So it feels, when you listen to it, it feels like it came from the late 60s. I mean, the instrumentation you can definitely identify with anything that was coming out of the late 60s in terms of psych. And these guys are huge in the psych revival. And this just happens to be the 2 LP edition. I went for the 2 LP edition because it's going to be less compressed. So the music on this guy is fit onto 1 LP for its US release, and when you're putting 30 minutes of music on a side, that is not a good thing. So I went with the German edition so it would be less compressed. This just happens to be pressed at GZ Vinyl, so they got it from a digital source. Because GZ cannot do analog as far as I'm aware. But this is just a wonderful album. And somehow the band hooked up with Beyond the Wizard Sleeve, and Beyond the Wizard Sleeve was asked to do the full album. So they got the tracks every single track on the album, and they did their own reanimation. So they resequenced parts of songs, added in new instrumentation, and while it stays true to the original, it is completely a different picture altogether. It's like taking you're looking at the same image, but one person just interprets something completely different, and that's what you get here. And this is just fantastic. So it's temples, but different. So someone else's interpretation, but it has a nice lenticular cover, so you get this nice 3D depth, and it has this purple backing. Came with the download. This guy came with the download as well, and definitely worth picking up if you can. And this guy is limited as far as I'm aware. Now, so I was spinning some more stuff, and so the next album is Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. So, Noel Gallagher from the Oasis fame. This is just a really good album. I mean, despite what people think of him personally, this is really, really solid. It is a gatefold. And I want to say this LP is pressed at Rainbow, but it's 180 gram. So if you like Oasis and music in that vein, I mean, it's Noel Gallagher, you're going to get much of the same, but this is a really solid album. And so again, Beyond the Wizard's Sleeve was asked to do a reanimation of a couple of tracks on this particular album, and another duo, Psych Magic, also appears on this. And while that album was a 2-album set, this was a single album set, this is a 2-album set. And what I like about this is it has just the instrumental cuts along with vocal cuts on several of the songs. And I really think the Beyond the Wizard Sleeves reanimations were definitely the standouts on this particular album. Now both of these, the original and this one, did come with a CD copy. So very cool to have a CD that you can just rip and get a high quality digital source. The other thing to note about Beyond the Wizard Sleeve is, Richard Norris, he has his own band called the Time and Space Machine. They've come out with a couple albums and 3 or 4 EPs, and it's almost like space rock meets dance music. So there's no drums per se, but he does a good job of describing it here.
What we're trying to do with that is trying to create a kind of the same sort of thing you'd get in a dance set. So you'd have the drops and the builds and the wait for it and here we go, but try and do that with guitars and keyboards. So so I think that's why people were confused. But when they could see the bits where it was like here we go coming up, then that was the right thing. It's basically trying to make a dance set with guitars, which is probably a difficult thing to do, but we're trying.
And the other member that I mentioned of Beyond the Wizard Sleeves is Errol Alcon, and of course, being a DJ, he plays a lot of obscure stuff, and plus he does his own compilations like this one here. He is unique, and while they do dance remixes, I mean they go a level deeper, and they're doing total reworkings of songs which is very, very cool. So that's Beyond the Wizard Sleeve. Can't recommend them enough. If you have comments, if you're aware of this band, shoot me something down below, and have a great week, everyone.